So there's a small YouTube channel named Padre, and I used to like him in the beginning because I actually believed in his videos. I thought his videos were really funny. I also believed in the messages in his satirical content, where he mocked deceptive trends like people recording themselves doing acts of kindness, giving away 1,000 hot dogs to a bunch of homeless people, and giving a man $1 million because he gave me a free hot dog or something like that for internet validation. People post things like that. Also morning routines where they wake up, get a coffee enema at 5 a.m. and just start jogging their nuts off, and then after that dipping their face into ice cold water so that way they can prevent inflammation on their face or something like that. And other people who post don't talk to me challenges, things like that. And ignoring the fact that I only said things like that because I was running out of examples on what he posted back in the day. I also just want to go on a quick rant about Padre real quick, because lately I've started to realize that Padre is kind of going against what I like in a content creator, specifically in regards of him being, in my opinion at least, Goonbait. And also, he's becoming something that he originally sought to destroy, because he saw money in it, and I don't really blame him, but at the same time, I want to criticize him so that way I can also make some money off of that, and also because I just want to go on a quick rant about this real quick because I'm more passionate in these things. I really like talking about these types of issues, and I just want to go on a quick rant about this. And before we continue, I have a few things I'd like to say. First of all, I do not encourage my audience to harass the people mentioned in my videos whatsoever. This video is just purely my opinion. I legitimately mean it when I say this. Nothing in what I say in any of my videos is actually set in stone, absolute statement written in the ultimate book of life. That's not the case at all. It's all subjective stuff, and it's all my opinion. And all the criticism that I want to deliver, because I like criticizing people over the smallest things since I have nothing better to do with my life really, all that criticism is not entirely true. It is all up to interpretation, and how you interpret Padre's videos is different from the way I interpret it. So please do not go harassing anyone mentioned in my video. Second, this video is not rage bait. I do not give a single hoot about the people in the comment section saying, "Get a load of this incel cuck over here." If you're mad, then just tell me in the comments in a long paragraph. Preferably reply to my pinned comment, and also preferably reply to someone else in the comments saying that I'm right. Also, comment on my other videos too, saying you're a big fat meanie, you only bully people, and watch until the end. I would really be sad if you do that. That would really damage my channel, and that would really just make me sad. I would be so sad if you do that. And what would hurt my channel even more is if you watch this video all the way until the end before doing all that stuff. It would really be like a stake in my heart, you know? Like, it would really hurt. And third of all, thank you to Matusku, one of my Discord mods, who is doing unpaid labor for me because I cannot afford to pay bro or any of my mods. He also made this thumbnail, even though I always called him Matsu, but I think it's about time I actually said his name right. So thank you, Matusku. I really appreciate your work and your contributions to this community. Your work is very much appreciated, and I'm sorry I can't pay you in anything but basically Chinese sweatshop wage levels of exposure dollars. So with that being said, let's begin. First of all, I just really don't think that Mr. Padre is even funny anymore. When Mr. Padre used to go by the name Scumbag Dad, I really felt the passion inside his content. It wasn't as fast-paced. It was really, not really slow, but you can feel the intricacy in each part of the skit, and it actually just felt like a nice bit of artwork that made me chuckle a little bit. It didn't make me laugh, it didn't make me vomit out my guts from laughing, but it was good. It was satisfactory, and it was decent quality product. And it was more of a satirical bit of random, slightly relatable memes mashed together that was dedicated to pretending to be quirky in the sense that he thought of unique and fever-like dream type of things. And he just put it all together into a skit, and it actually did make coherent narrative sense. For example, he had a series where he pretended to be this dad, because it's in his name, he pretended to be a dad, and then after that acts like a horrible father. Yeah, sure, that didn't make me laugh until I puked out my guts. Like, again, it's not gut-bustingly funny, but it did really entertain me. His humor was a mix of moonlight, darkish type of thing, kind of like at midnight, but with a full moon, maybe like a little bit of a street lamp that has like a flickering light on top, kind of dark. Not like dark, but it is dark. It's nothing too over the top either, and it also had references that make me feel a slight bit of dopamine. Like, it made me feel a touch of serotonin too while we're at it. And his old content was also much more creative in my opinion. It was a type of random equals funny humor that had a timeline that traveled so far beyond its original narrative that there was legitimate beauty in the chaos. There was an order within the chaos, and that's just kind of something that I really appreciated and admired. However, nowadays, all I see whenever I hit that latest button on Mr. Padre's YouTube channel or click on his Instagram page is a bunch of OnlyFans models. And I do mean a bunch of OnlyFans models. Take a look at all these appearances. Dear Lord, what the hell? He's got a whole senate of OnlyFans models at this rate. Now, I personally find there to be a lot of things wrong with working with OnlyFans models who linktree their OnlyFans to their pages like Instagram and YouTube instead of just promoting their OF on a domain that is actually dedicated to shenanigans like that. I firmly think that we need to separate NSFW content from SFW content. Adult content should not be mixed with regular content because that is just not appropriate. Like, you should not have to be finding nails in your box of cereal, you know? Like, that, at the end of the day, you need to separate those two things. But putting that aside for a moment here, I legitimately feel deep down that Mr. Padre has just become pure Goonbait. I can't show any of his videos because he would probably copyright strike me. In his bio, he even says, quote unquote, also I love issuing copyright strikes. So I'm not going to show any of his content. So you're just going to have to take my word for my opinions here. But I legitimately want everyone to know that Mr. Padre's kind of fallen off in quality lately. But I can't show any of it because he's just going to copyright strike me. I also feel like he's kind of Goonbait because the whole point of a collaboration or a feature, in my opinion at least, is to spread each other's audience to each other and give each other exposure of a certain community to another person, and then spread their audience. Everyone gets numbers, and number go up, and we all smile because our bank accounts are much more full. However, Mr. Padre collaborates with OnlyFans models. Ergo, he's spreading the influence of OnlyFans models, and ignoring the fact that the number of followers that these OnlyFans models have are significantly lower than Mr. Padre's. I think it's appropriate for me to believe that Mr. Padre is collaborating with OnlyFans models to try and scoop a teaspoon of that cesspool of that type of audience, if you catch my drift. And not only that, comparing some of the charts here according to Social Blade, each account saw a significant boost in followers after following or after collaborating with Mr. Padre, which cements my belief even further that Mr. Padre is just having the OnlyFans models go on his page so that way he can get more of the Gooner audience to follow him, which is very, very weird in my opinion. It feels a little bit of exploitative, but I mean, that's kind of the whole point of the whole porn industry. It's to make people, you know, addicted to it so that way they can actually rake in some of those big bucks. That's just my belief. I don't know about you guys, but that's just what I think. And contrary to Brad's beliefs, I genuinely think Brad is so high off his shriveled nutsack on copium because he's coping so badly, even in his content, he has to write in his responses in his content instead of actually responding to it in a set video for once, dedicating a video to responding to the dissatisfaction that people have expressed. If it's a skit, it's a skit. If it's a response, it's a response. You can't respond to something in a skit because that just doesn't work. There are two completely different purposes to those things. One is to defend yourself, the other is to entertain people. And the only time I get entertainment from people trying to defend themselves is YouTube apologies. And on top of that, I genuinely feel like he's trying to fatten up the pig before slaughtering it. He's literally trying to make people feel good before responding to it so that way it softens the blow of the response and people actually get a more positive impression of it. Whereas if you just sat people down, you gave them the hard truth, that is much more honest in my opinion. For example, take a look at a short he made a few days ago. In it, towards the end, at the 0 minute and 42 second mark of the short is 1 minute and 5 seconds, so it's like a third of the short dedicated to responding to this criticism. He says in his response to one of his actors or film crew or whatever, saying, I quote, "What happened to you, man? You used to be really good at content. You used to make really good content." And in response, Mr. Padre says, and I quote, "Yeah, I do. I still make good content, but I gotta rage bait a little bit. The guys who do this shit beep non-ironically make way more videos than I do, and I still put in these little clues to tell people it's a joke, so it's still cool. I'm still moral. I'm not really doing anything wrong. I see your look, man. You know I don't give a beep because it goes viral and I'm gonna make money off of it." And that's it. You can go check it out. I'll link it down below in the description so that you can check it out yourself because I don't want to get copyright striked. You get the idea. He's just trying to soften the blow of what he's really doing, which is just, in my opinion, at least, not really good. I mean, sure, at the end of the day, he's making bandos off of it. He's moving racks. I'm not complaining about that. What I'm complaining about is the fact that the internet has started to merge adult content with regular content together, and I just really don't like that because I believe that those are two separate things. You can't just mix them together. That's like trying to mix in food with gardening. Like, that just, well, I mean, okay, that was a horrible analogy, but you get the idea. Gardening is a dirty job where you got to get your hands dirty to, you know, grow some crops, whereas food is something that needs to be cleaned. You can't merge those two things together. And yeah, sure, again, he's moving racks off of it. And yeah, sure, he probably doesn't care about morals. He's no slave to them. And after all, in order to actually achieve material wealth in this world, you need to cast aside a lot of morals to get there, unless you're Keanu Reeves or something like that. Because no good person voluntarily sells something someone desperately needs for free. There's demand to exploit there. Who doesn't like exploiting people's needs? The problem here, though, is that, in my opinion at least, that response is horrible, and on top of that, the content he's been making lately isn't good, because it's just a bunch of girls shaking their ass in front of a car, or throwing a pick-me temper tantrum, freak out, or OnlyFans girls in their cosplays just dancing around shaking their ass or whatever. It's certainly not rage bait either, because he's defending it, and I'd assume he's probably losing out on brand deals too because of the girls that are involved in his content, and by him making dozens and dozens of bits of content that are pretty much the same thing as what he's trying to make fun of, he's actively being a hypocrite. So I don't really see any morals there either. He's become the very thing he sought to destroy, and had he continued doing what he did, he probably would have been more successful as he once was, if not more successful. But alas, the man in question has cheapened himself to fetch naught but the finest shotties. Instead of the finest shotties, though, it's just people who snap bikini pics and sell them for the price of a McMuffin in 2025, and that's it. So yeah, that's about it. That's all I really gotta say. Overall, I'm just a bit disappointed with Brad Padre because, in my opinion at least, he's ran down his channel into the ground, and it's pretty disappointing to see the dramatic fall off in video quality. And sure, he gets views, but I don't really care. I think that he should do better and probably go back to his roots. Just because his name was the issue, that doesn't mean he needs to redo everything all over again. And that doesn't mean he needs hot women in his shorts. He just needs to do what he does best, and it's just simple humor that's a little bit chaotic, has a little wonky timeline, but is coherent and makes everyone smirk a little bit from being entertained. And yeah, I mean, that's about it. That's all I really gotta say. Overall, I hope you all have a good day, and bye.